prophetess Huldah. And according to the Bible, she's buried just south of the Temple Mount, where we are, but we have no remains of the tomb. The only reason we have no remains is we can't excavate because of this whole marketplace down below. We found many First Temple period tombs. They all look alike, but what we don't have are Byzantine markets. So this one was left, and more important than the market itself is what was found in the market. And what was found in the market is unbelievably, well, important for a couple different reasons. We know that as soon as Jerusalem was destroyed, Jews were outlawed from ever entering the city. So from the destruction of Jerusalem all the way to the Muslim rule of Jerusalem, Jews were not allowed in the city. Okay? Now, what we didn't know is we were allowed to come in for commerce. We just couldn't live in the city. This is where we found that out. Okay? So I told you we knew there were people living in the city of David. This is where the Jews always choose to come back to when they're giving an opportunity. That's it. That's where we go. Because that is Jerusalem. We know that. They don't know that. Whatever. They meaning the Muslims or Christians, whoever it is. But what we find in here is unbelievably insightful for us. Here we have a Byzantine market, which is Christian. We also have Jewish stalls and Christian stalls side by side. Now we knew up until this point, or we thought up until this point, they were segregated. Jews shop here, Christians shop there. And the Christians are allowed to be in the city, but there's no mixing. But here what we find is they were very mixed, actually. And we found a hoard of gold coins in here. The gold coins had menorahs on them. Whoa, I mean, remember we said what's the symbol of Judaism? The menorah. So we find that. But not only do the gold coins have menorahs on them, but we found some pendants. In case you guys haven't seen a real pendant, they're about this big.
Wow.
Pure gold, with a big necklace holding it on, with a massive menorah on it. This person wants you to know this is a Jewish stall, okay? That means these people are doing one of two things. Number one, they're specifying Jews come shop in our store because we need help, or these people are they do specialty stuff, okay? Now, we do know in the Byzantine Empire and the Crusader Empire, no European ever came here and brought all of their workers with them. We know both of them came with their masons, but for the most part, they left everyone else back in Europe. The reason why is the locals do it best than what they could. We work with different materials here, so we're experts in the material here. Masons, they're experts from Europe. So all the Byzantine chapels or the Crusader buildings that we see that are still standing is because they brought their masons, and they had technology we didn't know about. But we have things that they don't know about. Like, you don't have to bring someone who dyes leather from Europe when we could just find the local doing it here. It's a normal thing. But here we find people that are specialists in smelting or whatever, jewelry, whatever you need. This is big business in the Byzantine Empire, especially if you're a wealthy person in the Byzantine Empire. I gotta show my wealth. I gotta make sure I dress for the position, which is very much what the Romans did, okay? Byzantine and Roman alike, it's the same culture. So this might be what they're doing there. But the funny thing is these people in the Byzantine Empire were about to be attacked by the Persians. But the Byzantines and the Persians have fought many times, and the Byzantines always won. The only problem here is this is now many, many years into the Byzantine Empire. They've been fighting on many different fronts now, so they're much weaker than they ever have been before. And then the Persians come in. Now these people here, usually if someone's coming to attack you, what you do is you take all your gold, and then you run with the gold, because the gold's worth a lot, right? Well, this person buried it in their shop, telling us that they're thinking the invasion will come, it'll last a couple of years, I'll be back, open up my shop in 4 years' time, and we'll continue business as usual. Well, that's not what happened. Clearly this person never returned, and we found their hoard of gold coins here, and we know it was a Jewish shop, which gives us insight into that time period, because everything was kept the way it was the day the Byzantine market closed. So now we know Jews were allowed in the city, but they were just kicked out at night. The other marketplace that we find by Jaffa Gate shows us not only the exact same thing, we actually know that the Jewish community lived just outside of Jaffa Gate in the valley down below, because they weren't allowed inside. So everyone was adhering to those rules, but before that they said no Jews anywhere. Now we know they were just outside, come in for the day and then leave. All right. All that. Now, let's talk about important stuff. If you guys will turn around, and if you look at that window, this window belongs to the Al-Aqsa Mosque. So forget the window. Just down below it, you see that bush? Not the president, but the bush with leaves that are kind of falling down. And you go to the left, and there's like a stone that looks like the facade is broken, right?
Yeah.
2 stones over?
Yep.
You see that?
Yep.
Just above that stone, you can see there's something there with something chiseled in it, right? Okay, this stone is in secondary use. And this stone is a Greek. Greek, the lingua franca of the ancient world, no problem. Many stones in Greek. But what we find here is this stone in Greek says the place of the beard. It's cut off. It's the place of the bearded ones. And we find this in many places in Israel. But it's very specific and important for our conversation here. And here's why. I want to teach you a Hebrew word. We have young people in Hebrew, and then we have old people. The word for old people in Hebrew, Joshua, is? Oh no, not grandparents. That's very specific.
The old person is Skanim. Skanim. Named after Sakan is a beard. So an old person is a bearded person. Okay? Now, it's not really the fact that you have a beard, because everybody has a beard, but it's the white beard. Now we're talking. We are smart. And the whiter it is, the smarter you are, the older you are, but the smarter you are. It's really a sign of wisdom. Not that I have a higher IQ than anyone, but I've lived a lot. I used to, when I was in high school, my parents would say, do this, and I'd say, you're the dumbest person I know, why would I ever do that? And then I go and do the opposite and get arrested. Whoops. Why didn't I listen to my parents, right? I was a little troublemaker. And then, in retrospect, now that I look back and I say, wow, my parents are very wise. And actually, they knew what they were talking about. I should have listened. It would have saved me a whole bunch of heartaches and fines, right? But when you're in that moment, your parents are just, they're so annoying, right? But your parents are there to guide you, to help you, to make you learn from their mistakes, right? I don't want my kids to make the same mistakes I did. So, henceforth, the white beard. I've lived a lot. I've experienced it. Now, I'm going to take a rabbit trail real quick, but I promise I'll come back. And it's going to take about 5-10 minutes. Is that okay? Okay, good. We're in the shade. We got nowhere else to go. So, we talked about Solomon's wisdom. One thing I want to mention about Solomon's wisdom is implemented in every single city that he or anyone after him builds. And this is part of what God gives him, the wisdom to his people, and is brilliant. What Solomon implements is a new gate system. Every city has a gate, but now this one specifically has 6 chambers as you enter. But there are 2 city gates, external wall and an internal wall. And in between these 2 walls is the marketplace. The reason why they do this is you're welcome into my city to do business, but you're not welcome into my city, because I'll do business with Canaanites, I'll do business with Egyptians, I'll do with Babylonians. But you can't enter my town because I don't know what rumors or what idolatry are going to spread in my city. How do I protect from this? Because everyone's coming in and going. Well, the 6 chamber gates are on the 2nd gate system. And if you remember in the Bible, there's a few people that sit at the gates. The king sits at the gates, like a pastor. He's got office hours. How could you know how to help your flock if you don't know the needs, right? Well, no other king's ever did this, but what does the king care about his people? Who cares? They could die. They'll get over it. But you also have the city beggars side of the city gates. Why? That makes no sense. It's for me as a passerby, but also for you as an inhabitant of the city. I can look from the outside looking in and tell the spiritual well-being of the city. If I'm a traveler and I have my son with me, and there's 50 beggars sitting at the entrance to the city, sun's still out, I'm just going to keep walking a half a day and go to the next town, because I can tell these people are not living a covenant faithful life. Because if they were, there wouldn't be any beggars on the streets, right? God gave me, so I may bless you with it. I have extra to balance, help balance. Tomorrow, you need a job? I got a job for you. You're my new employee, and we're all going to go pick seeds tomorrow, cotton, whatever my job is, okay? That's why I have this extra that God's blessed me with. So I can visually tell this city is unhealthy. Keep going. We also have, it's also for them to beg for you, because that's the marketplace. Number 2, the court systems at the city gates. Well, that also makes no sense. Why are we throwing everyone's business out there? That's because it's important. Let's just say Joshua didn't have enough money to buy a loaf of bread for his family tomorrow. Tonight he goes out at 5 a.m. and steals from the baker, but gets caught.
It is just as much my fault that he got busted, not that he got busted, that he went out and stole a loaf of bread, as it is his. And here's why. I saw him yesterday begging in the city streets, and I didn't offer him a job. I didn't give him a loaf of bread. I didn't help him out. I'm being an unrighteous person. I have extra money in my pocket. I could have at least given him money, if not a loaf of bread or a job tomorrow, but I didn't. So he has to reap the consequences of his decision, but it's also my decision that led him to this. So it's for all of us as a community to see what's going to happen to Joshua and his judgment, to make sure I don't do it, but also to show you that he's going to go through punishment because we were unrighteous. Okay? And then tomorrow, after his judgment is done, I'm going to go make sure that I pick my brother up so he doesn't go out and make the same mistake again. Because I learned my lesson, and I know he learned his lesson, and I don't want him to have to do that ever again. All right? So it's a visual. We are judged as a community. The whole city survives, or the whole city goes up in flames, and I'm part of that. Okay? So that's going to have to be at the city gates as well. You have the wise men at the city gates. Now this is one of the most important jobs. The bearded ones. The bearded ones are at the city gates because they've lived. All right? They know, but it's not just life. It's Torah. Torah is life, guys. Remember I told you, I'm a carpenter to pay the bills, but God's word is the most important thing. Well, yesterday was Shabbat. Hey, what did you think of the Torah portion yesterday? What was your favorite part?
What's the blessing or the cursing part?
Oh boy.
There's a lot of cursing.
Oh boy.
A lot of cursing going around yesterday morning.
Yeah, that's true. What do you? Well, what was the name of the parsha? I forgot. Kitavot. But he knew. My point was, I wanted something specific. He knew the answer there. Welcome to my town, Joshua. That's my job as a wise man. I ask you some sort of question that could be mundane, but if he knows the answer, that means he was in synagogue yesterday, which means he's following God's commands. If he said, what's a Torah portion, or what's the Torah, or, oh yeah, that yesterday was Shabbat, wasn't it? No. This man's not living a covenant faithful life to God, meaning he skipped a week, meaning he doesn't revere God's word, or doesn't know God, my God, our God. He's not welcome in my town. And here's why. If I let him in, he could be an Israelite, for all I know. But if I let him in, tomorrow he may convert someone to his false religion. Maybe not tomorrow. It might not even be in my lifetime. He plants one seed. You know the concept of Passover with the dough? You take all the leavening out, because one little piece of leaven will ruin the whole batch. Well, that's put that on a human basis. You take one little piece of sin and put it in my city. I may die, but 100 years from now, we're going to have a statue of Baal in the middle of the town. Okay? It's my job to prevent. I am the guard of the future generations of this city. Okay? That's why the elders sit at the city gates, to make sure we are covenantly faithful to God. Somebody's got to do it. And this job is more important than the archers on top of the walls. Because you can come and kill us, but at least I kept my covenant with God. God's the one who's going to protect us, not your arrows. Okay? So it's when this system fails, we're done. All right? And it may not be in my life, but it will happen. And it always happens. Okay? So, so I said all that to come back. If these are the bearded ones, what's the stone that says the place of the bearded ones meeting? Great question. You guys, wiser beyond your years. Oh, everyone should have a white beard, except for the women.
You're getting there.
Yeah. I'm a... Okay, let's put it into context. We have all the children of Israel, all of God's followers, come here. It's Passover. We're all going to God's house. We're all rejoicing. It's so much fun. I go to the temple. I see all my friends that I haven't seen forever. I get down to business. I do my thing, guys. I am on a spiritual high. It doesn't get any better than this. I know an ex-druggie, he goes, what's he saying? There's no high like the Most High. But that's true. That's the feeling you have when you leave God's house. You've been looking forward to this all year. You've walked, you've sung all the Psalms of Ascent. You've made it here. You've gone to the market. You've done your mikveh. You got your offering. You went to God's house and you felt it, guys. It's there. I am so pumped. And now I have to leave? What do I do now? I go play soccer with my kids somewhere? I have a whole week left here. Well, I can do it again tomorrow, but I got to let everyone else in today. What do I do? Well, the party doesn't end there. If you think of it this way, every single person that follows the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is here. That means the who's who of the rabbinical world, all the scholars, all the rabbis, All the students, everybody is here. The place of the bearded ones is the place just by the exit. If you look up where this wall breaks through the exit. This is the exit of the Fulda Gates. This is where everyone came out. This sign is located at the exit because the party isn't over here. Once you're done, you've got a captive audience. Look at all the seats we have here. Everyone's in line to go in over there, but these are nice, beautiful seats. Grab a seat and listen to an ancient debate. Rabbi Gamliel versus Rabbi whoever. Let's hear what they have to say. And by the way, here in the Jewish world, it means let me chime in and tell the rabbi why he's wrong, and why he's right, or why he's right and he's wrong, and whatever. I've always got an opinion and a voice. All right? Do you guys remember a story? Yeshua comes down with his family like every other family. Holiday's over. Joseph and Mary, halfway back to Nazareth. Anybody seen Yeshua? And they come back, and where do they find him?
Synagogue.
At the temple. At the temple. Well, he wasn't in the temple, because there's none of that going on over there. This is where he would have been. He's arguing with the rabbis. Oh, now it says arguing with the rabbis. Let me tell you, give you a little bit of an insight about the Jewish world. We have many conversations, but we don't talk, we yell. How much more so do we yell when it comes to God's word? I'll give you an example. I was in a car accident as a kid, nothing major. I wasn't. My mom was driving, and she came to a light. I'm sorry, I wasn't in it. I watched the car accident. And it's in Tel Aviv. The car in front of him, the light turned yellow. In Israel, that means either hit the brakes or hit the gas. The guy in front hit the brakes, the guy in the back hit the gas. I'm going to hit the guy in front. Light goes red. Both of them throw it apart, get out, and they're this far away from each other. And the hands are flailing. You could see every vein in the neck, saliva spitting everywhere. These guys are furious. Their faces are tomatoes. Going at it. The light turns green. Everyone starts honking. They kiss each other in both cheeks, get in their car, and drive off like nothing happened. And here's why. At the end of the day, we got better things to be mad about. It's superficial damage. If it was a big accident, maybe get the insurance involved. But we survived. I'm okay. You're okay. Nothing major happened. We're brothers. We don't have to argue about mundane things. So, with that, if we get heated up over something like that, well, what about our bloodline, our life and soul, God's word? This is what we live for. So a simple argument, or a conversation is going to turn into a heated conversation. But I'm not arguing with you, I'm just talking. If you have something to say, you're going to speak over me. Because you can't wait for me to finish. That's just the way we do it. Okay? Now I want to bring this back to something that I started talking about in the north. I said I'll talk about the Pharisees, right? Didn't I?
Yep.
Yeah, I did.
Yes,
yeah.
you did.
God knows you guys. Pharisees get a terrible rap in the Bible. And there's a reason for it. They're always trying to trip Yeshua up. Well, makes sense. But everyone throws all the Pharisees in the same, throw the baby out with the bathwater type thing. I don't believe that is a correct thing to do. I think the Pharisees are amazing people, some of them. Of course, there are bad apples in every batch, but the Pharisees, if anything, respected Yeshua. And here's why. If I'm from Jerusalem, Yeshua's from the Galilee, right? He lives in the Galilee. If he's part of the Pharisee community, he's going to be known as part of the Galilee Pharisee. Now remember, Jerusalem is the heart and soul of the Jewish world, so everything that comes from Jerusalem is the authoritative source. That doesn't mean everyone has to agree with it. Now the Pharisee community is divided into two major sections. The house of Hillel and the house of Shammai. These guys, both Pharisees, do not get along in any way, shape, or form. Okay? They're constantly battling each other. Now, let's just take one house. Let's say Hillel. Even that house is divided. You have Jerusalem, you have Galilee, you have different sects within it. This house is divided all over the place. But at least you can fit in. The one thing they do agree on is we're Hillel. We're Hillel and they're Shammai. Okay? But then we divide amongst that. So, I full-heartedly believe that Yeshua is taking part in very many Pharisaic debates in the ancient world, and I'll prove this to you on today's Sunday. Tuesday, when we go to the Via Dolorosa, I'll bring one of those debates up to you, which I bet you've read 1,000 times and didn't even know is an ancient debate, but we'll get back to that. So, Yeshua is taking part in these debates. Now, if I'm an 80-year-old rabbi, 20-year-old, doesn't really matter what my age is, and I'm here in Jerusalem, I'm not going to walk all the way to the Galilee. It's a 4-day hike over there just to ask this guy named Yeshua who said something that I don't agree with, to ask him, hey, what's the deal, man? What does this mean? I'm not going to do that. I'll send my chief student. He carries my authority. We have a saying in Hebrew today is just as true today as it was back then. Shaliach shaveh shalcho. It rhymes in Hebrew. What it means is the one who is sent is worth the sender, meaning you're coming with your boss's authority. Okay. So anyway, so I can send this guy, and everything he says to this rabbi in the galley is with my authority. He's got my stamp of approval. Now he can only say what I told him to. That's up to him to know when to stop. And this is very much a ancient Jewish debate. Okay, still done today, by the way. So every time someone is sent to the galley to try and trip Yeshua up, it's really just an ancient conversation. But here's what it actually means. Would I waste my chief student's time, 4-day hike there and 4-day hike back, just to tell me the answer, if I didn't respect the answer that the rabbi is going to send? It's a waste of time. If he's not an actual rabbi, what do I care what he says? He's going to die one day and his word will fizzle off like the rest of those crazies walking around. The fact that people are going all the way to the galley to try and have a conversation or an argument with Yeshua means, if anything, he's a respected rabbi amongst the Pharisaic community. Now he's carrying weight everywhere he goes. So a lot of times Yeshua gets this bad rep in the Bible about, the Pharisees didn't like him, the Jews didn't like him, they all betrayed him. Not at all. In fact, a lot of his followers were Pharisees. In the trials against Yeshua and Paul, there are a lot of Pharisees that actually stand up for them. Okay? The Sadducees wanted to kill Yeshua, but they couldn't because the Pharisees stopped them. Now, that could be just because they hate the Sadducees and they don't want to do anything they do, but nonetheless, Yeshua is a respected character in the Pharisaic community, and this proves that. I'm going to give you an example. That staircase that we walked down earlier from the Jewish quarter, all the way down, I was about halfway down. There's a big yeshiva, very famous yeshiva. I was on my way down about 5 years ago, and this rabbi walks out. He's a very famous guy. Walks out onto that platform with like 20 of his students. And these guys are so loud. They're yelling, and everyone's like, whoa, what's going on? They're jumping around, getting excited about something. And then from the top, another rabbi appears and 20 of his students, and they come down the staircase and they meet on this platform. And as soon as this happened, I knew it was happening. This is what I did. Record! And this thing went on for like 20 minutes. It was amazing. It was an ancient, that's still used today, an ancient form of conversation. It's called pilpul. Pilpul means it's the action of me throwing and it coming back at me. Okay, that's pilpul. So what it is one of the rabbis, I don't know who it was, said something and the other rabbi came to challenge him. He didn't agree. So what these guys did is they came down, and when the two rabbis were pretty old, they got in each other's faces and the students all moved aside, and the challenging rabbi said whatever he said. I couldn't hear a word he said because he was whispering. He was quite old. That's what it sounded like to me. And literally, you could hear a pin drop. The chief student goes, shh, and then the rabbi spoke. And then as soon as he finished, the chief student once again started yelling at the other guy's chief student. And it just all hell broke loose. These guys are yelling. You could see saliva flying. They're all arguing what the rabbi said. This rabbi says this, and he takes it from this book and that book, and the Gemara and the Torah and the Talmud, and blah, 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 blah. Now, the other rabbi is going to defend what he says. His chief student says, shh, and they all suck in. They're climbing on each other to hear, and he responds with the rebuttal. I don't know what he said. And then once again, the chief student goes at the other chief student. This went on for 20 minutes, guys. I was in awe. It's like, wow, I've heard about this. I've never seen it. And then at the end, chaos going on. The chief rabbi goes with his walking stick, the challenging one. And as if Moses was standing there, the sea parted. The two rabbis walk up to each other. They kiss each other in both cheeks, and they part. They part. Did not agree on whatever it was, otherwise they would have gone together, but they parted separate ways. But my point is at the end of the day, and this is Yeshua's relationship with the Pharisees, at the end of the day, these rabbis did not get along. They did not agree, but they kissed each other on both cheeks. Because even if I don't agree with you, I respect you as a human being because you've dedicated your life to God's word. That has earned my respect for the rest of my life. I may not agree with you the rest of my life, but at least you've earned that. This is how the Pharisees see each other. They don't all agree with each other. They definitely don't all agree with each other. But anyone who's dedicated his life to God's word is okay in my book. I'll give you an opportunity. But, we are a divided people. So that's the way I look at the Pharisees' relationship with Yeshua. So when Yeshua's coming here and talking to Rabbi Gamliel, this is the beginning of him making a name for himself. Anyone here ever hear of Rabbi Gamliel? He's one of the most famous rabbis other than Yeshua to walk on the face of the earth. If you remember Paul's trial, Paul drops him, name drops him as a reference to show you how Jewish he was. He goes, I studied at the feet of Gamliel. Gamliel is one of the head guys in the house of Hillel. What he's saying is, you don't believe that I'm Jewish? I was one of the students of Gamliel. That's how Jewish I am. That's the best students only can study with him. Okay, so Paul is using that. The Pharisees know his credentials by saying that Yeshua is attaching himself to these people. These people are the ones having the conversations with him. That shows from the very beginning, Yeshua knows what he's talking about. He's given authority by the rabbi of Jerusalem. Okay? Anyway, all that to say, these are the very steps that these people would sit on to watch these arguments, to listen to these arguments, because this is how we learn. I don't have an opportunity every day to see Rabbi Gamliel or listen to him. Well, now I do. At least 3 times a year, I know where he's going to be, and he's approachable by me. So I can approach him as a human being. He's okay with that. All right? So these steps for me are very, very incredible. First man on the moon, Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong came to Israel, and he actually. Let me read it to you if I can find it. Oh. It's official. Israel's national baseball team qualifies for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Oh, it's the Olympic, not the World Baseball. I have a picture here of an article which was written back when Neil Armstrong came to Israel. I may have to summarize it for you. Oh, no, I found it. It says, when American astronaut Neil Armstrong, a devout Christian, this is from a newspaper in Israel, visited Israel after his trip to the moon, he was taken on a tour of the old city of Jerusalem by Israeli archaeologist Meir Ben-Dov. When they got to the Hulda Gate, which is at the top of the stairs leading to the Temple Mount, Armstrong asked Ben-Dov whether Jesus had stepped anywhere around there. I told him, look, Jesus was a Jew, recalled Ben-Dov. These are the steps that lead to the temple, so we must have walked here many times. Armstrong then asked if these were the original steps, and Ben-Dov confirmed they were. So Jesus stepped right here? Asked Armstrong again. That's right, answered Ben-Dov. I have to tell you, Armstrong said to the Israeli archaeologist, I am more excited stepping on these stones than I was stepping on the moon. This is one thing that when I read this article, I do this all the time. This is my job. I come here all the time. When I read this article, it rocked me to the core.
Yeah.
I always say, wow, I wonder what the moon would be like. But I have to put myself in your shoes. You know, not everybody gets to come here every single week, or even, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for some people.
Yeah.
Especially back then when you walked here, and now you get on a plane and fly. These people walked. The very stones that we're looking at, not the one we're sitting on over here, these are the very stones that Yeshua's feet on. Not just Yeshua, every single student of his. Paul was here, James was here, everybody was here. These stones, the broken ones here. If the astronaut, Neil Armstrong, who's been on the moon, first man, he's world famous for this, renowned for this, says this is the highlight of his life more than going to the moon, that means something. And it gave me an internal check about what I do. But this is definitely a wow factor. And from here we'll go look at the marketplace, which for sure everybody would have stepped on as well. Here I can't say that's the stone, but this is a very small marketplace, so we can actually tell. But anyway, so I want to give you guys some time to, just a couple minutes, we just want to go to the top, take a look at the stones. All of these stones that you see here are not original. They're been reconstructed for us. But you do have some original stones at the base of the mountain. When we go around to the marketplace, we're going to be going down underground, so you will see the original stones. And when we go to the western wall, of course, those are the original stones. So this is all in secondary use.
So where do we go out at? So we don't have to...
Yeah, let's take it. Before you go, picture time.
Extra people in the picture, sorry.
Look at the window at the top. Go to the bush down below. 2 stones over is that stone with the broken facade, right? You see that white, very white stone?
The one with the
Looks like
birds.
it's,
The one with the birds.
what?
The one with the bars.
No, okay, go to the window with the bars. Underneath it is a bush.
Yeah.
Go 2 stones over from the bush is that big stone.
Yeah.
So there's one little one to the left, right? Then the next stone over is missing the front part of the stone. You see that? No?
Yes.
You do? Okay. 1 stone above that. There's writing on it. That's the stone.
Shaped like this.
What?
Shaped like this.
The one above that one.
Just go off the corner of the window.
All right.